If you start keeping a list of all the things that Jesus said and taught us in different ways, and you start to explore how they make life better, there are so many things that branch off of the things that he said that lead you to great places in terms of life now, not later. This is something I was talking about the Scott Adams thing. I can't remember if I mentioned it on this podcast. I might have, but when Scott Adams from Dilbert fame was talking about basically he knew he was going to die. He's going to take Pascal's wager seriously. The idea that, well, I should say I believe this because if I do, then the worst thing that can happen is I just die. Um, but if I don't say I believe this, I'm taking a bigger risk with a higher upside. If I do say, you know what I'm saying? I'm explaining Pascal. Pascal's wager is actually pretty simple, but for some reason I can't explain it very well. You know what I'm talking about. Like, why not say it? Worst case scenario, I'm wrong. Nothing would be different anyway. So he does this, and I don't know what to make of all that or what God makes of it. I don't know. But the sad thing is, you miss out on life now with God. If that's the idea, like I'm just thinking about where I'm going after I'm dead, well, you miss out on this. And everything Jesus tells us, as we keep talking about, is for our own good. It makes life better now. He came so that we could have life to the full now. So one of the things he says, and you may not think, okay, this is great news. They were arguing, the disciples were arguing about who's going to be significant, as humans do, in the kingdom, who's a big shot. And it says, Jesus called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. So maybe you've heard that story before. What I was thinking about, though, is like, even this, when you really start to think about it, it's for our own good. Become like a child, like humble yourself, lower yourself. Lowering ourselves is so weird in this culture. Nobody talks about lowering themselves. It's always going up. I want to go up. I want to improve. What was the, didn't Jerry Seinfeld do a, sorry, I'm laughing about this. He did a, yeah, he did some kind of riff on that. Like when you're little, everything's up. I want to grow up. I want to, help me up. I want to finish up. I want to, and then when you're an adult, everything's down. Like calm down, settle down. So, but yeah, up is the way. So the Jeffersons, the song was not, well, we're moving on down to the east. They're not doing that. It's moving up. So that's the idea, right? We want to move up. Here's Jesus saying to become low, lower ourselves. Humble literally comes from the same word that human does and hummus does, which means the ground. So by being human, we're just like ground people. And Jesus says we should lower ourselves. Even that is so helpful. And here's one way. I'm just going to explore one, maybe two ways why that is so helpful. And by the way, the whole idea of living unoffended or this radical forgiveness thing where we love our enemies, we pray for people who are driving us crazy, makes us humble. It's a practice of making us humble because you're constantly trying to, you have to remember why you are forgiving people. Why are you forgiving people? Because God has done that for you. Oh, yeah, I needed forgiveness. I need forgiveness. Okay, well, it's hard to be puffed up when you're constantly being made aware of your own need for forgiveness. But it's a huge advantage in life. Humility, massive advantage, even creatively. So I get a newsletter from Billy Oppenheimer, is his name. He's a writer and researcher. But he did this one newsletter about how humbling yourself helps you make great art. And if you haven't thought about it, he quoted Anne Lamott. She wrote in Crooked Little Heart, a novel, her book, quote, expectations are resentments waiting to happen. Elsewhere, she wrote, expectations are premeditated resentments. And expectations are resentments under construction. Set the expectations bar as low as you can. That's her quote. He's saying, Oppenheimer's quoting this in a series of vignettes, but he's saying, when you lower your expectations, you free yourself up because you're lowering the stakes in life. You're freeing yourself up actually to create better or do anything better, like write better, compete better, perform. Like If everything's riding on you, if everything is so important because it's all about you, that's tough to write under those conditions. It's tough to shoot free throws under those conditions. The people who choke big time under pressure in sports, a lot of it comes down to that. Like they feel that everything's riding on them and their whole identity is caught up in this. There are people who can't even throw, they're, like famously, second baseman for the Dodgers years ago couldn't throw to first base. He would throw it into the crowd. He was just choke. He had the yips. There was a pitcher for the Cardinals who just melted down on national TV in the playoffs against the Mets years ago. He was a phenomenal pitcher. He was a left-hander, huge curveball, upper 90s fastball. He was going to be the next legend. Suddenly, he couldn't throw it, even close. It would go sail 30 feet over the catcher's head. We all watched this happen. And he walked like 6 guys in a row and never pitched again in the major leagues. Just got in his head. But there's so much riding on it. When there's less riding on it, you do better. And here's what I mean by this. I'll give another example that he gives. This is from Rick Rubin, he wrote a book called The Creative Act. He's a very famous, like Grammy-winning music producer. One of the best strategies, he says, is to lower the stakes. We tend to think that what we're making is the most important thing in our lives, and that it's going to define us for all eternity. Consider moving forward with a more accurate point of view that it's a small work. And then he references Oscar Wilde, who famously said that some things are too important to be taken seriously. Art is one of those things, Rubin writes. Setting the bar low, especially to get started, frees you to play, explore, and test without attachment to results. So I honestly think what Jesus is giving us here, for many reasons, this is just one. I'm just exploring one sub-reason, basically, but it does help you creatively to get things done when it's not everything's riding on it. That was me with my first book. I had to, because I wanted to be a writer, but I was killing myself with expectations. Like I would read Tolstoy or something and be like, hey, I want to write Anna Karenina. Well, I can't. I can't write like Tolstoy. And on down, I can't write like Jane Austen or the Bronte sisters. I can't do it. I would love to. I can't. But the fact that maybe I thought I could actually kept me from writing. The perfectionism stops us from doing stuff. But if you lower yourself, you're actually able to just dive in and enjoy creating things. To wit, yesterday, so I'm recording this on Easter Sunday. Yesterday, we did Easter eggs with the grand girls. So they're 3 and 1, right? So as you know, if you got little kids around, if you had any experience as, remembering as a little kid, they don't have a problem creating things. It's not like they were just, yeah, let's look at this blank egg and think, how can I create a masterpiece and I have to compete with Fabergé or something. They don't do that. They just started diving in and making cool stuff, and colors were flying everywhere and getting on everything. It was great. But kids are like that. There's such a stream of creation emanating from a child. They're not caught up in this stuff that stops you from making art. To the point that, you know this too, if you've had little kids, you have to carefully curate all the stuff that's constantly being produced because there's only so much space on the fridge. So kids they're not hung up about creating things. That's adults that have this. The War of Art is one book I read about that. Like this struggle to create. Making yourself like a child, humbling yourself, actually helps. The opposite is awful. The worst poem I've ever heard is called Invictus, and you're probably familiar with it. William Ernest Henley wrote this, and it ends with, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul, which is the opposite of humility, right? Well, if you genuinely lived like that, you'd be so beset with anxiety and anger and pride. And that anger and pride would lead to pain. Without question. It would make your life worse, and the people around you make their lives worse and more painful. To wit, do you remember who quoted that poem? I think the entire poem, or the last lines, right before he died. He was executed. Timothy McVeigh, who was executed for the Oklahoma City bombing. So he killed like 167 people or something like that. And his last words were, I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. That attitude that I am all of this leads to pain. The humbling thing, once again, leads to freedom, and freedom to create beautiful things, not destroy beautiful things, actually create. And lastly, beyond create, like just here's one other thing it does. One other thing humility does. In Proverbs, humility comes with wisdom, or actually, wisdom comes with humility. Where's the verse? Yeah, humility comes with wisdom, it says here. So when pride comes, says Proverbs 11:2, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Wisdom and humility is a great package deal. Why? Well, instantly. Again, this is just everything Jesus tells us is good now. Instantly, just this will improve a third of your life, like that. Like I snapped, but you couldn't hear it. Like that. It'll happen that quickly because you know what wisdom and humility does? Also, Proverbs tells us that living a life of wisdom, asking for wisdom, means when you lie down, you will not be afraid. It says in Proverbs 3:24. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. You'll sleep better. This life of humility, when Jesus says lower yourself, we take that as some sort of a diminishment or no, I'm master of my captain of my fate. Yeah, captain of your fate. I laughed about that in Blessed Are the Misfits about how sleep should be this incredibly humbling thing because you can stand up and go, I am the master of my. Eventually, you're going to get, you have to, I can't even be vertical anymore. I'm the captain of my everything. I can't even stand up. It happens every day. Where I just go, I have to keel over. Excuse me, I have to be horizontal and I need my blankie. That's the human existence. And it's funny too because we like to optimize everything. Like people have the sleep optimization. They get numbers from their aura rings or whatever. Like all of that. Maybe you do this. I haven't done it, but I have friends that do this, and they get it their sleep score in the morning. Like how did I sleep last night? And you want to get better and optimize it. Well, then ask for wisdom. There you go. There's a lot of tips about sleep and stuff. Ask for wisdom and the humility that comes with it. Lower yourself. That'll bring wisdom into your life. And when you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Everything Jesus tells us is for our own good and not later. Not just later, definitely later, but not just later. Now, too. It's so great. We have to think about it that way. So that's just a couple ways just on the humility thing. So thank you. If you have any questions or responses or rebuttals or anything at all, I hope not rebuttal, but maybe, that's fine. I can handle it. It's Brant at branthansen.com. So thank you guys for listening. And I want to have Tyler back. I kind of did this because it's today's Easter. I kind of just had to cram this in where I could. But yeah. And thank you again to United Faith Mortgage for sponsoring this. I love that they're aligned with what we do. And we are using them right now for a mortgage. They couldn't be better. Family business, United Faith Mortgage. Look them up online and you can learn about them. They're direct lenders, which is fantastic too, which gives them more flexibility to do stuff. I've already experienced that. It's wonderful. So yeah, United Faith Mortgage. Thank you so much for listening.